Now, really, as an head of the as the head of the department, I'm really happy that our Women Empowerment Committee, the committee headed by Dr. Ganavati and Dr. Anuradha, they have taken up this matter, and it is placed before you for discussion. I'd like to, because ma'am will speak the main thing, so I'll just like to ignite your mind by saying that why have you ever thought that why is it required for a student of business management to learn about women empowerment? Have we ever thought of that? Well, women empowerment, even after 75, 76 years of independence, still we are discussing about women empowerment. That itself is it's a matter of shame, I think, because over the span of around 7 decades, seven decades, we could not empower our women. But that is not the case of underdeveloped country like India. It is, in fact, women empowerment still is an issue even in the developed nations also. Now, the point that I was thinking that why does a student of business management who is pursuing MBA need to know about women empowerment? Now, see, women empowerment. Whenever we talk about women empowerment, we think that government should create certain quota in the parliament, certain quota in the educational institutions, in jobs, and so forth. Like 33% should be there, reservation is there. That is one aspect. So government's involvement is there. Second, government can enforce these things in the private sector by implementing certain laws. It is also there. So private sector may follow this one or may not follow this one, but the thing gets restricted to that reservations and quotas also. When we go a little bit down, we find that women empowerment talks about imparting education to the female members of the society. We should like Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, like this type of scheme we have come across. But all these things are essentially, if you have looked into that, all these things are essentially concentrated to the activities of the government. Government should take the lead role. Why have not we thought about that the private sector also has certain role in women empowerment? Because if you can understand that, yes, private sector can also play a distinct and very active role in women empowerment, then only you will be able to understand why is it required for an MBA student to know about women empowerment, to discuss about women empowerment. Now let us talk about from business perspective. Now see, suppose you are working in a company and the company produces some apparels or suppose or durable goods, for example. Have you ever thought of the point that if the women member of the families, they get more decision-making power, the choice or the selection of the products would be different? Have you thought in that point? See, normally what happened? The earning members are normally in 50% of the cases we find that it's a male. Even if the female are earning members, but they depend upon their male counterparts to take decisions. And accordingly, like during COVID also, we have seen that during COVID, it is a male who go to the market because, for example, we do not want our family to get exposed to the COVID infection. So that's why we, the male member of the family, visit market. But let us think in different ways. So whenever we go to the market, whatever things are required, we buy as per our own perception, as per our own choice. But when it comes to the female member, if the female members are given more purchasing power, when they visit market, the selection of the goods will be, maybe there's a possibility that it will be a bit different. So in that case, the companies, for example, those who are producing apparels or specific food items or specific durable goods of specific nature, in that case, if women are empowered to take decision, they go to the market and then select good, the buying behavior will be changed. So in this way, it can influence the business. So private sector, which is operating only for profit motive, they also have a responsibility towards women empowerment. Because if it is women empowerment is done, then that will indirectly impact the business potential of the companies also. Second, now it has been found. I was going through one of the reports. I think the whose report I just forgot. That report specifically mentioned that it specifically mentioned that around 55. It was a McKinsey study, right? McKinsey study. It has studied some companies and their how the changes in leadership brought about changes in their profit before tax and before interest. So it was found that when the leaders, the business leaders, the leaders of the companies were changed to women, on an average, the companies recorded 55% rise in earnings before tax and interest. It is called EBT, right? Earning before tax and interest. So it has been found. So women leadership has some distinct advantage. Yes, there are certain disadvantages also, but why I'm saying, because private sector need to understand that if we can promote our women employees, if we can encourage the women folk in the society to take part in decision making in the company itself, there is a possibility that company can earn land in a position where they will earn more, right? That is what exactly what they want. The capitalist motive, that is profit motive. So if we look at from the buyer's point of view, from the seller's point of view, yes, women empowerment actually impacts the private sector companies and their and their business potential, right? So that's why women empowerment is something which need not be restricted, essentially restricted among in the government sector. It should equally be spread towards the private sector, like the way corporate social responsibility has developed over the years. Corporate social responsibility means every company has certain responsibility towards the society. That's why you'll find that if you go to Jamshedpur, you'll find best hospitals over there, best schools over there, colleges are there, everything they contributed for society. So this concept has come over the years. Previously, it was in the domain of the government. Government used to do all these things, but now the things have changed. I think women empowerment is another segment where the corporate should think. In fact, they have started thinking on that. And you, as the very bright, very young business management student and MBA aspirant, you should also know that the essential the essence of women empowerment and how you can make use of it in your corporate life. I'm sure that ma'am will speak much more things because he is the chairperson of this committee and she has specialization in that, and also the fact that she is a woman. She is a woman, and I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Anuradha madam also, because he has taken tremendous pain. I told you in your induction program also that ma'am can take a lot of responsibility, and she has proved it in the previous occasions, right? When she had organized certain programs in her under the banner of her club, literary club. So I hope you will all enjoy this webinars, and this is the beginning. I hope much more things will come, and you will participate. Your active participation will make the department much more enlightened and bright. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your motivational speech. We are it is indeed very blessed, sir.
May I now take the honor to introduce our faculty speaker of the lecture series 1, Dr. Gyanavati Kurajam, Assistant Professor, Department of Humanities and Social Science. She did her MA and PhD from Manipur University. Her specialization was Commonwealth Literature. Her area of interest are Indian writing in English, New Literature in English, Translation Studies, ELT and Communication Skills the Institute in the year 2010. She has also been awarded and honored with Nahakpam Surendra Singh Memorial Gold Medal Award in the year 2004. She is also a member of many professional bodies of India as well as of USA, like Journal of Literature, Culture, Media Studies, the Commonwealth Review, and International Referred Journal, the Association for English Studies in India, Editor-in-Chief, Modern Research Studies, etc. She wrote in R.K. Narayana's The Guide, film adaptation and recreation of new text. Amitabh Ghosh, A Circle of Reason, a clash between superstition and scientific reason, and she has published 13 journals. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Priyanka. My video is not working. I don't know what happened to my laptop just now. It was working.
Ma'am, you can log out and then log in once again.
Should I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I will. Still, it's not working. I don't know. Some problems are there. Thank you so much. Well, thank you to our HOD sir, Professor Devasis Nyogi sir, who has given, so much of credit to me about this particular committee, Women Empowerment Committee. But I'm not an expert in this particular field, but I will try my best to say a few things and to enlighten a few things on the various issues as well as the provisions which are there in the Constitution of India. At the same time, I would also like to focus on the importance of certain rights, at the same time the kind of problems women are facing in today's society, particularly in the rural area. And then also I will be highlighting on the various provisions which are there for the women section of the society. They can take up help from the law as well as various sections of the society in order to have a proper understanding as well as justice of any kind of crime or any kind of injustice they undergo. So I'll just present my slide. It's been prepared in a hurry. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Audible.
Another problem in my system is that if I present it in the full screen, the slides won't be changing. Let me see. You please inform me if the slides are getting changed or not. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The top. Actually,
You are using this one?
no, because here mic is not working.
Oh. No. Camera you can insert here also. No?
This one.
Hmm?
Some setting is to be done.
So,
Okay. Okay, the topic which I have taken up today is on women empowerment for sustainable development. Is the slide, is the slide changing?
It's still in the first page, ma'am.
Okay, then I cannot present the full screen then.
It's changing, ma'am.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, ma'am, it's changing.
So I won't be displaying it in the full screen. Now let me start with a famous quote by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. You can tell the condition of a nation by looking at the status of its women. That is, so much of importance has been given on the status of women. So if the women folk of the society is found to be developed, then definitely you can say that that section of the society is indeed very much developed. So the term empowerment, before coming to women empowerment, the term empowerment refers to the measures taken up to enhance the degree of autonomy in people so as to facilitate them to act in an independent way in a responsible manner. Remember, in a responsible manner. Whenever we are given any freedom, any empowerment, we should be acting in a responsible manner. So it is a process of becoming stronger and gain confidence, thereby overcoming their helplessness in every aspect of life. So, women empowerment, empowerment can be viewed as a means of creating a social environment in which one can make decisions and make choices either individually or collectively for social transformation. Now, in simple words, women empowerment can be understood by as giving authority to women to decide for their own lives or entrusting such abilities in them so that they could be able to find their equitable place in the social order in a proper manner. So it is the process of enabling or authorizing individual to think, take action and control work in an autonomous way. When we talked about women empowerment, we it involves many things like economic opportunity, social equality, personal rights, etc. And many a times we find that women are deprived of all these human rights, often as a matter of tradition. So when we talked about women empowerment, when we focus only on the urban areas, only on the developed areas, there you won't find much difference. But when you go to the rural sector, women are generally not perceived to have any meaningful income generation capacity, and hence they are relegated mainly to household duties and cheap labor. So, without the power to work and earn a good income, their voices are silenced. So, even in matters of sex and childbearing, women often do not have the ability to oppose the wishes of their men. This is as per the um uh, author George Abraham in 2001. So, when we talked about empowerment, when you are empowering somebody, you get, so many things in hand. Like you have access to certain things, you have certain options open to you. You become, positive. You learn a lot of things. You have the room for growing up. The self-image, the self-identity, self-respect, everything you gain. Then ultimately you gain the power to make decision, power to take part in anything, etc. Okay, now again I'll just skip this as I have already explained this. Now as I have already said that women empowerment can be understood as giving power to women so that they decide or they take decisions on their own, and they are given or entrusted with such abilities so that they will be able to find the rightful place in the society, the rightful position in the society. Now, according to the United Nations, women empowerment mainly has 5 components. So why do you think that the various sections of the society all over the world globally, they have emphasized so much on the empowerment of women? Why we are trying to empower women? Definitely it shows that many sections of the society, women, the status of women are far behind the main section of the society. So the United Nations, according to the United Nations, women empowerment mainly has 5 components, like generating women's sense of self-worth, then women's right to have and to determine their choices, women's right to have access to equal opportunities and all kinds of resources, then women's right to have the power to regulate and control their own lives within and outside home, and women's ability to contribute in creating a more just social and economic order. These are the five components like the United Nations have emphasized on. Now let us go back to history in order to check the status of women. So when we go back to history, we find that the condition of women kept changing with time, and it has undergone drastic changes from ancient to modern period in all the important aspects of life, like socially, politically, economically, etc. Now, in ancient India, if you go back to ancient India, the women enjoyed equal status with men and were given great respect, and they were allowed to access freedom of education in ancient India. I'm talking about India. But compared to the, we may be thinking that England, it is a very developed country, but when you go back to England in the 16th century England, you still will find that the status of women were very poor. They were not given the equal status as men. So generally, we say that a woman born equally talented as Shakespeare would never have got the chance to expose herself in order to show her talent. Okay, so uh, on the contrary, in ancient India, women they used to enjoy equal status with men. But you know, the status of women was relegated to a subordinate position to men with the coming of the famous treatise Manusmriti. So all kinds of discriminatory practices, you must have heard about it, started with it, like child marriage, which has been abolished now. I don't know, in some sections of the society, they might have been practicing it. Then Devdasi Pratha, Nagar Vadu system, Sati Pratha, etc. So when I was, very small, I heard about this Sati being practiced, which is very sad for a woman to be burnt alive in the, pyre of fire with the husband. That is, a very sad and a very inhuman kind of act. So all these kinds of in unwanted, discriminatory practices used to be conducted. So their socio-political rights were curtailed, and they were made fully dependent upon the male members of their families. So their right to education, right to work, and right to decide for themselves were ultimately taken away. So they remained subdued for a long time and faced innumerable injustice throughout their lives, some of which can be discussed one after another. Now, the first point I'm focusing is on domestic violence. We may not be, having a clear-cut idea about how much women suffer, like in the hands of the husbands and the spouses or the family members of the husband. Okay, the in-laws house. So women are subject to domestic violence frequently due to various reasons. Reasons are varied: husband's consumption of alcohol, and having a mother who was beaten by her spouse significantly, which increase the risk of domestic violence. Then many married women between the age of 15 to 49 have experienced spousal violence. This is as per the National Family Health Survey 1, 2, and 3. They feel that it is acceptable since their mothers were also beaten by their fathers, so they will tolerate it, silently. The reasons for beating them include neglecting their children, going out without informing partners, arguing with partners, refusing to have sex, not preparing food properly on time, and talking to other men. These are particularly seen in the rural section of the society. So at least 1 in 5 every married woman have experienced um, domestic violence since age 15, and at least 1 in 9 have experienced domestic violence in the 12 months preceding the survey. So about 1/4 of illiterate women report being beaten, and nearly 1/3 of poorer women report beating. So, however, like higher education and higher education sectors, like, or the more developed section of the society, you will get less of these kinds of cases. The slides are getting changed. It's changing now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll skip this. Now, even like, no, let me just, like gender inequalities in healthcare. Even in the healthcare sector also, doctors like treat depressed women with a pill rather than identifying the underlying causes, such as domestic violence, or examining their living and working conditions. So the most pressing concern is not too much medical attention for those who can afford it, but lack of attention for those who are poor. So, and sometimes women and men are offered different levels of treatment for what appear to be the same clinical conditions. Now, let us go to the crime against women. When look at this pie chart, you will find that the at 5.4% sexual harassment doesn't reflect a true picture, though. You can just, refer to this pie chart, and you will find that so many atrocities have been happening, like molestation, cruelty by relatives and husbands, rape cases, kidnapping, abduction, sexual harassment, dowry debt. Even though dowry is banned, but it's been practiced. It's an open secret that we can see in some sections of the, or it's being practiced in many of our states in the country. Then even though dowry prohibition act is there, still the dowry, the injustices being fared by the women section of the society are great in number till today. Even though everything is not reflected in the media, in the newspapers, still it is happening. Okay, then immoral trafficking. So crime against women is also increasing day by day. From the chart, we can say that this is taken from the National Crime Records Bureau. So, women have been suffering uh, from all these kinds of atrocities, and they remain victims to all kinds of violence, like all this which I have referred to, you, molestation, dowry dates, etc. So the crime against women still continues in spite of many acts being passed against all sorts of crimes. So we need to have a proper idea about the various kinds of atrocities the women folk of the society are facing till date. Now, women empowerment of women was one of the 9 primary objectives of the 9th plan. Why? Because according to the survey, it has been found that in many sections of the society, the status of women are far, below as compared to the male section of the society. So why is, as our HOD sir has also asked, why do you think there is a need for women empowerment? Women empowerment is required because women are deprived of decision-making power, freedom of movement, access to education, access to employment, exposure to media. As you can see that nowadays 33% of the seats are being reserved for the women in the election. So so when we come to the decision making power among, women, they have very less decision making power if they are not economically sound, if they are not earning. Again, this is being referred to according to the survey taken up in from the National Family Health Survey 1 to 3. So among those who have earnings, more women than men do not have a major say in how their own earnings are used. Okay, like women who earn about the same as their husbands are more likely to have a major say in the family. And like, I mean, it depends on the economy of the particular person, how much you bring in the family. So less than 2 in 3 currently married women participate alone or jointly in decisions about their own healthcare, large household purchases, purchases for daily need, etc., and visits to her family and relatives. So the number of decisions women make jointly varies positively with education and non-linearly with wealth or the economy. And for women, having earnings that they control is associated with greater participation in decisions. As I have already told you, the decision making power lies more if the person concerned brings in income into the family. So um, more or less, this is not fair if we think, because uh, we should not base the decision making power only on the kind of income you bring in into the family. Next is like when we try to analyze the freedom of movement, even in our society, however developed we are, there is still restriction in the freedom of movement. Maybe it may be because of the, prevailing crimes, the prevailing situations in the society, that we don't feel safe to move around freely as men do. So women's freedom of movement is severely curtailed. Only 1 in 3 are allowed to go alone in the market, to the market, the health center, and outside the community. Again, this is uh, mainly based on the survey taken, in the rural sector of the country. So women, they face a large number of hurdles in accessing healthcare facilities also. So I mean, if you are curtailed from enjoying certain kinds of freedom, then you don't have the happiness to lead your life in a proper manner. So when we come to the access to education, with education, lots of developmental works can be brought about. Now, when we talked about education, we all know the importance of education in our lives, isn't it? So it is a principal instrument, if we say, like in awakening the child to cultural values, in preparing him for later professional training, and also in helping him to adjust normally to his environment. Well, in fact, it is the very foundation of good citizenship. But the reality is totally different, and it is very pathetic. When the children's school attendance was checked, again based on the National Family Health Survey 1 to 3, when it was checked, it was found that only 2/3 of girls and 3/4 of boys aged 6 to 17 years were attending school. So when we analyze the sex ratio of children attending school is 889 girls per 1,000 boys. So some definitely we can find a lot of differences there. And in terms of literacy and educational attainment among adults, it was also found that 41% of women aged between 15 to 49 have never been to school. At the same time, educational attainment remains very low, even among the age group 20 to 29. Only 27% of women have 10 or more years of education. They used to drop out when they, reach 7th standard, 8th standard, 9th standard, or some, they could not clear 10 standard, so they just, discontinue their studies. We can also see a minimal increase in the percentage of ever married women with 10 or more years of education. When we move from National Family Health Survey 1 to 3, there is a slight increase from 11% to 17%. So, in order to increase the number, the Constitution of India amended to provide for the right to compulsory, you must have heard about this, the right to compulsory elementary education, which is provided in free by the Government of India to children falling between the age group of 6 to 14 years. So it may be noted that among the world's 900 million literate people, women outnumber men 2 to 1. Okay. So, as per the Human Development Report 1995, girls constitute the majority of 130 million children without access to primary education. And so, the illiteracy rate of women is 55.16% as against 75% 0.85% for men. So, some facts which have been again taken from the National Family Health Survey 1 to National Family Health Survey 3, 56% of females and 31% of males age 6 and above remain, illiterate. So only 6% females and 16% of males aged 6 and above have completed high school. So in this way, I'm not going into details about the, the demographic or the percentage, but we can see that lots of things are, required to be implemented, and even though the government has implemented or given access to free education, many things are to be actually implemented. Now, why do you think, okay, education, I have already, I'm skipping this. Now, next point is access to employment. Again, many countries have demonstrated that investment in educating women is the most precious investment a society can ever make. Women between the age group of 15 to 49 about half as likely as men in the same age group to be employed. That is 43% versus 87%. So you can see a lot of difference. And the relationship of employment and wealth for women suggests that for many women, employment is largely a result of economic necessity. Even with controls for education, age, and wealth, marriage is negatively associated with a woman's likelihood of being employed. So, most employed women work for someone else away from home and continuously throughout the year. And most, in the rural sector, most women work in agriculture. Only 7% work in professional or technical or managerial occupations. Now, exposure to media. Women have lower access to media than men in every age group. So 40% of women are not regularly exposed to any form of mass media. Television is the most popular form of media. Of course, nowadays, with the advancement in technology, everyone is accessible to, internet, and so they are more knowledgeable about certain things going on in the society. And the rapid increase in exposure to television has been accompanied by decrease in exposure to radio at least once a week. So 29% of women do not have access to media properly. Since it is important sense, so source of empowerment, greater proportion of women without having access to media, it also reflects the relatively disadvantageous position of women in relation to men. So in view of these inequalities, deprivation, and certain atrocities faced by the society, it has become necessary for empowering women for their right to enjoy equal status in the society. Okay, till when I should be speaking? Till what time? Can you please highlight?
Ma'am, you has been allotted a half hour of time.
So is it over now? Please inform me. Can I take how much more time can I take? I'll just sum up. Can anyone highlight me?
Ma'am, you may have, ma'am, 5 more minutes, ma'am.
Okay. So due to these various atrocities, due to these various lagging in freedom, access to employment, access to media, then decision making power, so certain constitutional provisions have been made in order to empower women. And I'm just skipping. And also at the same time, in the Constitution of India, you can find many articles where the women are given certain powers, certain opportunities, so that they can access to freedom, as well as access to decision making power, may it be in terms of employment or in terms of taking part in anything. Many provisions, as you can see here, I'm not reading them out. Many articles can be found if you check the Constitution of India, where certain provisions have been made for the women folk of the society. And at the same time, many legal provisions are also there. Like if you find that um, you know some atrocities have been made against any woman, then there has been enacted various legislative measures were intended to ensure equal rights, to counter social discrimination and various forms of violence and atrocities, and in order to provide support services, especially to the working women. No, now certain acts are also there which have special provisions to safeguard women and their interest. Okay, so all these, like the employees state insurance act, etc. And at the same time, many acts are being kept. We can analyze them later. So how do you empower women? I will not go into detail. There are certain ways to empower women, that is by giving economic empowerment, political empowerment. Later on we can discuss them. Legal empowerment, health and hygiene empowerment, social empowerment, etc. So only if the women folk enjoy all these empowerment, then only we can say that the downtrodden, or the women who were lagging behind in certain factors, can make themselves uplift to a certain extent, and then the status of the women in the society as a whole may be coming up to a certain extent. Okay, not going into detail. Again, we have national policy for women empowerment where you get so many facilities. One day, another day, I will explain. Then again, we have the national plan of action for the girl child. Why, just like Sir has said, that why Narendra Modi, our honorable Prime Minister, is focusing on Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, vice versa. Huh? Why do you think it is required? Because in many cases of infanticide, feticide, that's why in our country especially the sex determination is banned, because if they come to know that it is a girl child, they go for aborting the child. So the focus or the importance has been given to the banning of the sex determination before birth, because many feticide and infanticide are being carried out in certain sections of the society in our country. So the most we can sum up like saying that the most critical component of women empowerment is found to be education. If you, that is why Beti Padhao, like if you give education, if you try to enlighten them by educating them, then they can have rooms to think about certain things which is open to them. Okay, so I'm concluding. So it may therefore be concluded that women empowerment is a must in rural sectors, especially in order to bring overall development of the society. uh, in every aspect, like be it socially, politically, and economically. So women, through their own relenting efforts, and with the help of constitutional and other legal provisions, and also with the aid of government's various welfare schemes, would find their own place in the society. There is need to educate and sensitize male members of the society regarding women issues and try to inculcate a feeling of togetherness and equality among them so that they would stop their discriminatory practices towards the fairer sex. The efforts should begin from home first, where we must empower female members of our family by providing them equal opportunities of education, health, nutrition, and decision-making power without any discrimination. Okay, so these are some of the references. I would like to end with these, lyrics from the song by Shakti group. Women, we have a purpose in our lives to be part of history of a new dawn, to be an overflowing river that waters the world which belongs to all equally. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed an enlightening lecture. May I now request Abhinaba to kindly introduce our student speaker, Atanu Devnath.
Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Atanu Devnath, who is our fellow batchmate. He did his graduation in civil engineering from MIT WPU in the year 2021. And his project was on data analysis in construction, environmental management, and structural dynamics. Over to you, Atanu.
Thank you, Abhinaba. Hello. Good afternoon, respected HOD sir, faculty member Gyanavati ma'am, Amit sir, Jayeshre ma'am, Anuradha ma'am, Anirban sir, Kaju sir, Rajiv sir, Soni sir, and my friends. Myself, Atanu Devnath, will be discussing the women's empowerment based on the specific topics such as the participations of the NGO, sports participation, climatic change, gender justice, civil service examinations, MSME, entrepreneurship, effect of the COVID-19 on the girls, and lastly about the conclusion of these topics. So, as we all know, the gender equality is a basic human right and it is fundamental to have the peaceful, prosperous, and egalitarian world. Women often face difficulties and lack of freedom within their family, community, and patriarchal society. Another challenge can be seen as the gap between the policy and practices of legal system. Even though the country's legislation protect the women's girls, the implementation and the enforcement of these laws at the grassroots is free. However, this prevention mechanism and they play a vital role in eliminating the violence and making the women or girls aware and self-sufficient to avail the support services about their life. The participations of the NGO, that is my first topic, is about the Shakti Shalini group, which is established on 1987. That is, it helps the socio-economically marginalized communities to build the skills and create the gender sensitivity among the women and girls so that they build themselves the zero tolerance to violence and came out as empowered, sensitive, and a person taking the charge of their own lives. The mission of this organization is to make a significant and sustainable contribution in nurturing a world that considers equality, safety, agency, digital healthcare, and compensations operating across the political, legal, economic, educational structures and socio-cultural fabrics. A key part of the empowerment comes through the education, skill building, employment, healthcare, and decision making. My next topic will be based on the MSME sector, that is the micro, small, medium enterprises. What are the roles of the women based on the decision making, executive employees, and also the managerial roles? The biggest push for the women's empowerment can be the motivation towards the women's entrepreneurship issues and assuring the positive ecosystem for the women at the workplace. The Women's Empowerment Platform was launched on 8 March 2018 on the occasion of International Women's Day as Niti Aayog flagship initiative. The third topic is the participations of the women in the civil services examination. That is, making the effective policy making and regulation, leadership at the different levels of the administration, service the presence throughout the country, and the strong building character. The fifth National Family Survey 2019 and 20 talks about the factors of the empowerment of the woman based on the gender justice. That is, the employment status of the woman, gender violences, marriage under the age of the 18, access to the menstrual health care systems, ownership of the physical assets, mobile phones, bank accounts, land, and the housing. My next topic is the COVID-19 and these effects on the girls. Worldwide, the children have suffered the devastating effects of the COVID-19 and further the impacts are and will continue to vary by gender. The socio-economic impacts of COVID-19 are genderized, evident in the form of the educational inequality, sexual violence, child marriage, adolescent pregnancy, and increase the household burdens. The next topic is the climate change and the impact on the women. Very recently, the International Governmental Panel of Climatic Change, that is IPCC, report the Climatic Change 2021. The physical scientists have warned about the increase in the monsoon precipitation, extremism, and the drought across the India and South Asia. Such climatic change events impact the women and the girls disproportionately, causing a hindrance to the India's SDG achievements specific to poverty, hunger, health, and well-being, water, and sanitation. My next topic will be the women's entrepreneurship, which is specifically about the challenges on how the women are facing when they become an entrepreneur. That is, the access to credit, the domestic responsibilities, information asymmetry, and lack of the role models. Last topic is the women's participation in the sports. Based on the specific policies and the programs to promote the sports in 1954, the Indian government took the first step to promote the sports by creating All India Council of Sports, that is AICS, acted as an advisory body informing the government on the numerous areas including national sports policies, government fundings of the national sports government bodies, and the coaching of the elite athletes. At present, the Ministry of the Youth Affairs and the Sports is running the following schemes to promote the sports in the country, including the rural, tribal, and the backward area. Such schemes are the Khel India scheme, assistance to national sports federations, special awards to winners in the international sports events and their coaches, national sports award pension to meritorious sports persons, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay National Sports Welfare Fund, National Sports Development Fund, running sports training centers through the Sports Authority of India. Now, the challenges of the women faced when they participate in the sports, that is the socio-cultural issues, access to the facilities and the safety issues, lack of the systematic interventions and the resources, and lack of awareness among the masses. So overall, I will came to the conclusion of how to make a way forward about this kind of the problems. Ensuring the gender responsive child protection system amid the crisis is paramount. The process of decision making, governance, and community actions must prioritize the issues among the girl child protection. That is, educate the girls about the detrimental impacts of household burdens on young girls, overcome the gender bias in the education, launch the stringent measures to eliminate the child marriage, ensure that the girl's safety is a collective responsibility, educate and empower the girl child on their rights, strong protection net for the most vulnerable, promote the safe adaptation practices, educate the girls about the cybersecurity, empower the young girls to act on the climatic change. That is, encourage the young girls to take the environmental issues to the BAL, Panchayat, and other platforms, prioritize the climatic change in the school curriculum and pedagogy to encourage the girls to be the leaders for tomorrow climatic change and community resilience emphasize. So, these are my topics. Thank you, Abu.
Thank you so much, Atanu. It was enlightening for all us. May I now request Priyanka to kindly introduce our next student, Priyashri.
Now, I would like to introduce Miss Priyashri Shaha, who is our fellow batchmate, and she did her graduation in Computer Science Engineering from Techno College of Engineering, Agartala, in year 2020, and her project was on cloud computing. Over to you, Priyashri.
Thank you, Priyanka. Good afternoon, everyone. Respected HOD sir, respected faculty members, seniors, and all my dear friends present here in this virtual platform. I am Priyasri Shaha, MBA first year. Before I begin my speech, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the faculty members of Student Activity Committee, Women Empowerment Committee, and all my respected faculty members for providing me this opportunity and speak in this auspicious event. On this eve, I would like to share my thoughts on an important topic, that is women empowerment. Women empowerment plays an important role in the development of the country. A man can speak his mind, make his own decisions in life, whereas a woman has a limitation on her imagination as well. In a world where women are dominated by society, when women are given authority to handle their personal, educational, professional life, given equality in society, the ability to raise their voice against violence is the definition of women empowerment. In a country where gods that are worshipped are female idols, and in the same country, 1 out of 3 women experience physical violence at least once in a lifetime. In a place where we all say every human, whether is male or female, should be treated equally at all levels, women are treated otherwise. We are taught boys don't cry instead of don't make girls cry. Sometimes, due to cultural norms, women are not empowered. Like still in some places of India, we see the right to education is just for the boy child, power to make a decision at home is for male members, and also the women that spend all her life taking care of family are never appreciated. Women will only be able to empower themselves if they are not prohibited to access the opportunities. Educational opportunity is one of the basic rights of every woman and also helps in women empowerment. We portray the pictures of Indira Gandhi, Malala Yousafzai, Neoma Sadler in our mind when we talk about women empowerment. For example, we all know the story of Malala, a young girl who defied fear and reason to stand up for her right to education. Often affectionately referred to by her first name, Malala Yousafzai became a prominent contemporary feminist at the age of 15 when she was shot by a Taliban gunman for her activism surrounding women's education. Since recovering from the shooting, which left her in a critical condition, Malala has continued her fight for girls' education globally, receiving the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts and becoming an icon for women empowerment. Malala Yousafzai says, "If one man can destroy everything, why can't one girl change it?" We might be turning into digital era, but some parts of the world still living in different centuries because of child marriage, female feticide practices, violence against women still exists. The change should be brought. Things won't change in a day, but every single effort can improve the condition. For example, governments have launched various schemes over the years for girls like Beti Bachao Beti Padhao Yojana, Mahila Shakti Kendra, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, and many more. But as individuals, we have responsibilities towards the women of the society. The first step can be taken by respecting every woman around us and also respecting their thoughts, views, and opinions. If only women are considered to be an asset instead of a burden, women can achieve anything in the world. At last, I would like to proudly say that women just need a pair of wings and she can fly high on her own. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyashri. It was a very informative speech. Now, may I request Abhinaba to introduce Dr. Amit Vikram Chaudhary, sir.
So now I would like to introduce our Assistant Professor, Dr. Amit Vikram Chaudhary, sir. Sir is currently working as Assistant Professor in Department of Management, Humanities and Social Sciences at NIT Agartala. He is also convener for department stock and actively engaged with students and students' activities. His research interest is in the area of international trade. He has published many papers in reputed national and international journals and referred conference proceedings. Sir has presented many papers in various national and international conferences. He has guided many MBA students in their internship projects. He is a member of professional bodies like Economic Science Society of Tripura and Indian Econometric Society. So may I now humbly request Dr. Amit Vikram Chaudhary, sir, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks. Sir, over to you.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Respected HOD sir, our chairman, Madam Dr. Gyanoti Kurrajam, and other faculty members of MHSS, and my dear students. It's a great pleasure to me that I am a part of this committee, and I have gone through such a wonderful time with this webinar right now. At first, Nyogi sir has rightly said about the issue why a MBA student should learn women empowerment, that how he has given importance the role of the private sector, that how private sector can play a pivotal role over there. And after that, we have gone through such a wonderful presentation by our chairman, Madam Gyanavati Madam, where she has raised the issue of women empowerment for sustainable development. Madam has rightly said about the domestic violence, the access to education, the economic opportunities, social equality, all these things. And after that, we have gone through with the Otunu speech, where we have come to know that how the participation of women in competitive exams has increased, and what is the impact of COVID-19 on girls. And at last, Priyasri has rightly told us the story of Malala. It's a very emotional story of Malala she has raised. So I do hope this session, this webinar, has turned out to be a fruitful one for everyone who are remain present in this webinar. And I can assure you that with the given time period, the way we did it, and in future also as a part of this committee, we'll take a lot of initiatives to make it a grand one. Thank you everyone for their active participation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, sir. With this, we come to an end of the first lecture series. Thank you all once again for your valuable time. Let's part with the hope that we will meet again soon in the lecture series.
Thank you very much, students.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
All.
you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the faculty members,
Thank you,
for
sir.
joining us and giving your time.
So, with due respect, sir, can we leave now?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can leave.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.